I quit my job last month and this is how I feel about it. So, strangely enough, obviously, I quit my job because I was dealing with a lot of mental pressure and things like that. And I probably won't be able to pay my bills on time this time around, because I do have other jobs and I'm now like a freelancer and I am just not going to be paid on time to pay my bills, which are in 2 days' time. However, I do feel like the strain and pressure that I was feeling whilst I was at my job is not even compared to the strain and pressure that I feel in not being able to pay my bills on time. You know that looming feeling that you get when you have to pay a bill and you're like, crap, I don't know. Well, actually, probably not many people feel this way. It depends on where you are in your life. And it sucks that I'm here, to be very honest with you. It really sucks. I didn't think that at 31, this would be my position. And obviously, I know I chose to quit my job. But I've always been a very sensible person. And the job that I was doing, which was recruitment in education, I did that job in order to be able to sustain myself, invest money here and there, in order to build a future for myself and my children. And be financially, I wouldn't say financially free, but financially stable. Obviously, the idea would be to be financially free, but within the time that I started that job until now, I probably wouldn't have been financially free, but I would have wanted to be financially stable. I would have wanted to be in a better position. That's the whole point of doing the job. I've always been a creative. I used to be an actor, like I've said before, and writer. And 2020 happened. And when 2020 happened, I was like, damn, I have nothing to show for myself in these years of pursuing acting. I haven't made it big. I haven't landed any major jobs, and I haven't got much money from it. In hindsight, I had just gotten my agent in 2019, like the end of 2019, and 2020 was going to be my big year of doing auditions after auditions and hopefully getting some good roles and stuff. But then, as we all know, 2020 happened. And I also feel like I just fell out of love with it. It felt like a chore when I was doing self-tapes and stuff. So then I decided to get into, I was working as a teaching assistant in a special needs school. Then I was like, this isn't paying me enough, nowhere near enough for the things that I'm doing. Like, you really put your heart and soul for it. I was working in the special needs school as well. I busted my ankle. To this day, it still clicks. I had my rib kind of dislocated because of the intensity of the work with the children. They are very vulnerable to children. Sometimes it can be hands-on. So yeah, I loved that job. I really did love that job, but it just didn't pay enough. And I was getting at a point in my life where I'm looking ahead in the future and I just wanted better for myself. And after leaving that, I went and became a real estate agent because I had been watching what's it called? Selling Sunset. I was obsessed and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I love properties. I want to, I'm going to get into the world of property and I'm going to make money and blah, 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 blah. And really and truly, like, as much as money is a motivator to do well, I actually am not crazy about it as the be all and end all. And that's probably why I quit my working as a real estate agent after 8 months. It was just very intense, which is understandable, but it was just very intense. Like, it was the be all and end all. And if you're not booking clients, then they were breathing down my neck. So then I decided to go into recruitment. It felt like an easy shift. It was still sales. I would still be able to get a commission, get paid for the effort that I put in. And when I put in effort into things, I really put in effort. So I went and did recruitment. And that first year I was swimming. I was doing amazingly. And it was the first time I've ever been paid anything that was quite big. And I was like, I have never seen this amount of money in one go in my bank account. I mean, it wasn't that much. It was only 3K. But I'd never seen that. Well, I can't say it was only 3K. That's a lot. A 3K would have been great right now. So I was doing that. And I was doing really well, and in my head I was like, yeah, this is the job. Like, I'm not moving any other job. I'm staying here forever until I become, you know, if I'm investing my money well, then maybe I can, you know, leave in 5-10 years or whatever. Then I became pregnant. So I started the job in January 2022, became pregnant April 2022. And that's when I started working even harder. I was like, okay, if I'm bringing a child in this world, I'm going to have to graft so that I can, you know, feed this baby. And then December comes, I give birth to my baby, but my baby is stillborn. My baby doesn't make it. And for people who haven't experienced loss, like, it shatters. You're not the same person ever again. You are not the same person. Regardless of who you become after, you will never be the same innocent or whatever person. So I remember when I was giving birth, or just had given birth to my daughter, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to work. That was the first thing I was thinking about. I'm going to have to go back to work. There's no maternity leave. I don't want to go back. This is embarrassing. Like, they've seen me pregnant all this time and now I've come back. There's no baby. And then thankfully I found out that you do get to go on maternity leave here in the UK. You get to take your entirety of your maternity leave, which I did take. And then my manager, he was great because he'd also experienced something similar. And he, you know, just him being able to say that to me felt really good. Like, I felt like I was being seen in that moment. So, and also they kind of said that I would be able to get my maternity leave money, but I'd also get 50% of my commission, which they didn't have to do, but they did that for me. And I felt really, I felt held in that moment. And then between the time that I was off on maternity leave, I became pregnant with my son. And, you know, I went back after the maternity leave with my daughter had finished. I did about 9 months of staying at home. And then I went back to work, and I just wanted to work from home because I didn't want to see anyone. I was embarrassed. It was shameful. I felt all kinds of uncomfortable, awkward feelings. I didn't want to go back. And I didn't want to go back until I had a child in my lap as well. So then I had my son, and then I was ready to go back to work. After again taking about 9 months. When I come back to work, my colleague was pregnant, and I'm so glad. This is going to sound really weird, but I'm so glad I had my son back then, because I know that if I'd never had any more children, that would have killed me. That would have killed me. And even then, like, I'd be sitting there like this, because I just, like, in my head, all I'm thinking is, oh, she's so lucky, right? And it was two things that were going in my head. It's like, oh, she's so lucky, she's just having an easy pregnancy, like nothing's gonna happen to her. And it didn't, thankfully. And then other side of me is like, what if it's going to happen to her? Like, it was just a lot of thoughts, and it felt really intense. And then I tried really hard to get back to who I was at work. My brain doesn't work the same. The retention, the memory does not work the same. And especially like pregnancy, mum brain is a real thing. I had mum brain plus grief brain plus mum brain again. You know, I was breastfeeding my son. So all of these things are happening in our brains. Like, chemically, a lot is changing. The hippocampus decreases in grey matter. It really prioritizes the survival mode. Like, memory is not important, so it shrinks. So I just couldn't be as quick, and I couldn't be as bothered. Like, my work colleagues would be so pissed off if someone didn't go to work. I mean, it's recruitment, right? It's annoying if someone doesn't go back to work, but we've got a bunch of other candidates available. Just give them a call. Nobody died. This is the thing, like, when I came back to work, the level of bullshit that I stood for, it was like, if no one died, it's not that deep. It really isn't that deep. People would get pissed off about the smallest of things. And I'm just there like, are you serious? And I know, obviously, like, I'm just, you know, looking at my own experience in life and how, you know, but yeah, that was getting on my nerves. And then something that I felt really hurt by was that when I was on maternity leave, not only was I on maternity leave, but I was on maternity bereavement leave, one of my colleagues had stolen one of my candidates. I say stolen as if I own these people. But in terms of recruitment, had stolen my candidate, taken it from under my name and put it under his name so that he would get the full revenue of that. Because obviously when you're a recruiter, you get a percentage of that person's work, because you agree with the client that this is how much we charge, and a bit obviously goes for you for being the person who has sought someone out, and the rest goes to the person. And he stole the person, it went all to him. And then when I returned to work, he put it back under my name, but it was my colleague who noticed this. And then I was just like, hold on a minute. So all these 9 months you were taking revenue from me. And I think that's so disgusting. Like, to know that someone has been off, not only are they off on maternity leave, but they're off because their baby has died, and you're doing that. What kind of sicko do you have to be? Thankfully, my manager stood on business and got my money back. But it's the principle of the thing. Like, why are you doing that to somebody who is in bereavement care, in bereavement leave? So then, like, when I've gone back this time round, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do the phone calls. So I'm supposed to call schools every day and be like, oh, do you need any help with teaching assistants? And the answer is always no, because they don't give a crap. They don't have the money. They know that agencies charge a lot of money and they don't pay candidates well enough. So they just don't want to work with agencies, right? And I was being grilled by my managers, like, oh, why are you not getting more clients? Why are you not getting more clients? Even though I was doing the work, I was going to schools, I was calling the schools. If they don't have the funding, they don't have the funding. They've been working, there's like over 200 agencies in London alone. Like, if they've been working with other agencies who they already have a relationship with me, they probably are not going to want to work with me. So the breathing down my neck started again, and I just didn't have it in me to care enough. And also, I know recruitment is going to be obsolete very soon because of AI. There's literally a company called Jack and Jill. It's an AI company, and the AI does all of that for you. So that's another thing that was getting to me. But it was really the stress of not being able to do the job properly anymore, and the fact that now my mind and my passion does not align to this anymore. I spent the whole of last year and this year speaking about baby loss on Instagram, on TikTok, and doing loads of advocacy kind of work. I've been going to events, and I've been speaking at events and things like that. That's the kind of work that aligns with me. But obviously you don't get paid for this kind of work, right? So it's capitalism. Sorry, capitalism is the bane of society, because you want to do things out of the goodness of the heart, out of the goodness of your heart. You want to do things that are beneficial to other people, but sometimes these things don't pay. And I'm trying my best to find ways of where I can be paid for the work that I do. So I started working as a maternity lead for my local hospital, where I speak to parents, and I speak to the hospital and try to bridge the gap between the kind of work that needs to be done. Then I'm working as a bereavement facilitator, where I work for a charity called Slow, and I support parents by leading bereavement sessions where, you know, they speak and share their loss and things like that. But I'm trying to find my footing in a way that I can support the people that I want to support. So I'm hoping to work with like midwives, doulas, student midwives, and teach them the importance of good bereavement support, not just for bereavement midwives. It has to be everyone has a good understanding of how are you supporting families. So this is where I'm at the moment. I quit my job. I just quit it, and it was such a relief. And also, one of the other things that I knew I had to quit was the level of anxiety that it was affecting me physically. Like, my body was physically reacting to this. I was waking up every single morning with my jaw completely clenched shut. It was hurting me. And then I had an awful dream. I had a nightmare, like it triggered my PTSD. I dreamt that I had another child. So I had had Mila already. I had my son Arinze, and then I had another baby girl. Technically, this was still Mila, but the way the dream sort of led it up, it was like it was another child. And I was doing all the stuff around the house. I was doing my job. I was doing this. I was doing that. And I just put this baby in the wardrobe, and 3 days had passed and I didn't notice. And by the third day, I was like, oh, where's my baby? I asked my partner, did you pick her up from nursery? And then he's like, no, of course not. You know, she's not at nursery. You know this. And then, guys, like the worst possible thing, the cupboard, the wardrobe was ajar. And I seen the wardrobe that the baby, you know, was gone in there. And it was my fault. And I woke up screaming, crying, like it was absolutely awful. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. So for me, it felt like my body was telling me what I needed to do. And I'm just hoping that I'm able to work with somebody, maybe get sponsored by, I don't know, some sort of motherhood brand that wants to sponsor the kind of work that I do. I would love that. So if anyone here watching this video, if you've got this far, I need to get sponsored so that I can, you know, sustain this kind of work that I want to do. Actually, speaking of which, I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to email some brands and ask if they'd like to sponsor me to lead some sessions or something. Because I just want to work in this space. Like, bereavement support shouldn't be an afterthought. But yeah, I've got 2 days to pay my bills. Just wish me luck. Just wish me luck. Anyways, guys, do join in and follow, do subscribe on this channel, because here I am documenting my writing. I'm writing the book on the spiritual connection that I continue to have with my daughter. And if you're interested, please do stay and follow along and support a bereaved and earthside mama. Thank you.